Ladies and gentlemen, what's good, y'all? It's Chris Gary, and I am back from my supposed couple of interview suspension. Andrew Benjamin is obviously waiting in the wings. Jack Wannan is waiting as well, as this is yet another edition of the We Are Rizin podcast, your show about all things about the RIZIN Fighting Federation and Japanese combat sports, or if we tend to find some time to talk about things, or, if another person wants to have something to talk about other than fighting, we tend to shoot the shit. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at ChrisGary92. Andrew is at ABenja1. Jack, what's your Twitter handle?
Oh, it's just my full name, Jack Wannan, so W-A-N-N-A-N.
Oh, okay. And the show handle is at WeAreRizin WeAreRizin all in one word. Now, Jack, before we continue on with, obviously, us talking about RIZIN 25, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you guys to bring me on the show. Obviously, it was flattering that I got invited on for such a special event. We're going to be previewing RIZIN 25. I'm Jack Wannan. I've been covering MMA for a while now on my website, knockdownnews.com. And, like all the major MMA promotions, I cover RIZIN. And, like a lot of people online, I'm going to be watching it live. Unfortunately, just because of time zones and how that works out, I'll be pulling an all-nighter watching it, but I think that's just part of the experience.
I mean, come to think of it, what part of the world are you from?
I'm from Toronto.
Oh, my apologies. Meaning you're pretty much going to be in the same time zone as Andrew, trying to see how this card plays out.
Yeah, it's going to be brutal. Me and Andrew, we're gonna make it through this together.
Well, and I'll say this. I think, I guess you could say the RIZIN Live era has been at least a little bit more bearable than the Fight TV era when it comes to just the show lengths and intermissions. Would you say so?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I think, I could be wrong, but I don't think this one goes to Fuji TV.
Yes. This one, I think this one is tape delayed. I think they're doing it like a week later or whatever that thing is. So that should be at least a good sign that maybe we can get out of there by maybe 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Hopefully, if all the fights go to finishes and all that stuff.
Yeah, the trick for me is just don't look at the clock because it'll make you anxious. It'll make you think about how much sleep you're losing. Just out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, but before we get to the card, Jack, I do want to ask. So, as somebody who's covered MMA for a long time, I want to just get your thoughts right now on RIZIN right now in the pandemic era, I guess we could call it. How do you think they've been doing so far? And just tell us, and compare and contrast like how they were before the pandemic. I want to hear all of your thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think that RIZIN in general has done a pretty good job amid the pandemic, just starting back over again. I was when I was researching this show, I was sort of like surprised that we're at RIZIN 25 at this point. It just feels like the layoff they would have would make it so that they wouldn't have this many events already in 2020, and we're going to be having 26 in December. That's just surprising to me. I think this promotion, obviously, they have the setback of having trouble getting people into the country because of COVID-19 restrictions. Mm-hmm. But I think that with that, they've still been trying their best to put together strong cards, because before a lot of their cards, relied on so much talent outside the country. And now that's just completely out of the picture. But I think, even though that is something that has hurt them, they've been doing a good job putting on good lineups.
Mm-hmm. And what are your thoughts about the lack of English commentary? Has that bothered you at all, or is that something that is it something that you enjoy more? Maybe you hated the English commentary. I'm not so sure, but yeah, what are your thoughts on the lack of English commentary?
I've never been too picky about commentary. I think that obviously accessibility is just a good thing for the promotion to have, because there's people like us who will have the resources, will know to go to Tapology, know who to follow on Twitter and stuff like that. But if you want to get someone into RIZIN, there isn't that voice which can sort of do the homework for them and tell them about stuff during the broadcast. So from that perspective, from the perspective of people who might be watching RIZIN for the first time or might just only watch some shows every year, I think that might be a struggle for them. For me, I don't really mind.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And just curious to know, any particular fight you've enjoyed? Do you have like a favorite fight so far that RIZIN has put on this year?
Man, I think that when you look at this year, and this has only been accentuated by the main event we're going to see in December, but this is the year of the Asakura brothers. This is especially when, we sort of saw the storyline heading up to December was that, okay, well, this could be the night that Kai Asakura becomes the champion of the company. Manel Cape obviously took that spotlight from him on New Year's Eve. With Cape out of the picture, Kai stepped up to the plate and became the new champion. And we could possibly this weekend see Mikuru become the other champion, have champion brothers. That would just be such a big thing for them. And, when you look at how they've been outside of the ring, becoming successful on YouTube, becoming stars that don't have to rely on fighting to make a living, it's been a big year for them. So you asked fight of the year, and I sort of strayed away from that. I guess my answer would be is that they put on some really entertaining fights, and we could see another one of those this weekend from Mikuru. And before we're gonna go down in this card just shortly. What do you think overall of this card? Because when they finally came out the fight order, I was surprised. Apart from the fact that there was only a total of 10 fights. Which I don't know. That might be. I don't know if that's the least amount of fights that RIZIN has had. At least that's what I can recall. I don't know if they had anything less than 10. But in terms of card strength, I looked at it and I was like, this is really only a one-match card for that featherweight title main event. Do you agree with that, or do you see some other strengths in this card that others don't see? Yeah, I think that this is definitely one of the weaker cards. It was just surprising to me that they even put on an event in November. I thought they would just, after their last event, just wait until New Year's Eve to do another event. Maybe, do like they've done before, back-to-back events on New Year's Eve. But, they did an event this month. Talent-wise, like some of the bookings, when you look at some of the matches, it looks sort of like a weak card. Like, there's some people on this card which, we've never even seen these guys before, and people who watch the regional scene in Japan might have not even seen these guys before. And somebody might be listening and thinking, well, I've seen this guy before. But at least from my perspective, I mean, there's some people on the card which I haven't seen before. But with that being said, I mean, that's not to write off the card in any way. On paper, this is how it looks. All it really matters is how it delivers in the end.
Oh yeah, of course. I feel like that at least it seems to happen in just in MMA. When people say this is a weak card on paper, it winds up a lot. And that goes for UFC, Bellator.
Right. Yeah.
It always just winds up delivering great knockouts or great just 3-round or 5-round fights. That always just seems to be what happens. And it tends a lot of times you think this card is going to be the most exciting card, and then main event is a shit show. So I think on paper it's weak, but I think you're right. I think this card might deliver. It may deliver the strongest, I think. What do you think, Christian? About that whole thing?
I mean, I think that a lot of people underestimate, certain aspects about combat sports, especially in Japan, where, they treat fighting with respect. They don't treat it like it's some Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Floyd Mayweather type of shit show.
I totally get it. With that being said, Christian, let's go on to this card. This Osaka show card.
Know what? Let's go ahead and talk about the kickboxing fights by order of weight class.
Before we go to that, Christian, I gotta mention, this is going to be at Asaka Joe Hall. You know what Asaka Joe Hall is famous for, right?
Pro wrestling and fighting, baby.
Oh, yes, the New Japan Pro Wrestling Zovini show. Sorry, I just had to say that. But, yeah, so let's talk about the 4 kickboxing matches, because, yeah, those are probably the matches that probably no one's paying attention to except for maybe one of the kickboxing matches. So we're going to just talk about them all at once to kind of plow right through them. But whenever you're ready, Christian, go right ahead and do your thing.
And to do that, we're going to be talking about them by order of weight class. So, obviously, we're going to start at the 117-pound weight division. Jin Mandokolo versus Shuto Sato. Mandokolo, 5 feet 4, 117 pounds, a native of Osaka, Japan, born September 3rd, 1998. He holds a professional kickboxing record of 11 wins and 8 losses, with 2 of his 11 wins by way of knockout. And he is currently 1-0 inside the RIZIN ring, defeating Issei Ishii back on October 15, 2017, at one of the RIZIN year-end shows, of course. His opponent, Shuto Sato. 5'4", 117 pounds, age 22, born February the 2nd, 1998, in the Aichi Prefecture. He holds a professional kickboxing record of 9 wins and 13 losses, with 5 of his 9 wins by way of knockout, but he is a former Max FC flyweight champion, a former Shootboxing Japan Bantamweight champion, and he obviously has fought in Rebels and obviously fought for Shootboxing. So this is his combined, so that basically was his combined kickboxing and shootboxing record. Now, as for the second fight on our list, is the 133-pound weight class between the ever indomitable, lovable loser known as Tiger Kawabe versus Yuma Yamashita. Now, let's see if I can. Let me go ahead and read Tiger's record real quick. Tiger Kawabe, 24 years old, born August the 14th, 1996, representing the Try Hard Gym in Sagamihara, Osaka, Japan, I think. Yeah, no, wait, actually, Sagamihara, Kanagawa, Japan. So fucking stupid when it comes down to that. The Hypernova has a professional kickboxing record of 21 wins, 12 losses, and 1 draw, and currently holds a RIZIN record of 1-4-1. That 1 win was against the EI fighter Hikaru Machida. His 4 losses, 3 via knockout to Thalasin Gomez Fahelia, Kento Haraguchi in his most recent fight, and Taiju Shiratori, in addition to losing to him in the previous event last year, and drawn with Kento Haraguchi. So basically, he's probably the only fighter in the RIZIN Fighting Federation that's lost to every single person he's faced off against. Go figure. In the meantime, his opponent, Yuma Yamashita, I don't really have any information on him.
I can take care of that, Christian. Yuma Yamashita is a former deep kick 63 kilogram champion. 12-7, 4 KOs. And he is from, I believe he is from the Osaka region. Let me double check on that.
Yeah, he represents Shinshojuku Fight Gym in Yao. Hate the name. Osaka, Japan.
He's got wins over people like Kazuki Takeichi, Keiba Shoji, Ramu. That was in the New Japan Kickboxing Federation. So he's facing mainly a guy who's trained in Muay Thai, but does traditional kickboxing in Japan. Sorry, Christian, go ahead. Sorry, he's 5'7", 170 centimeters, and 25 years old. So has 1 year on Taiga.
I see. The next fight on the list, 139 pounds, Yuma Yamaguchi versus Shohei Asahara. First of all, for Asahara, the indomitable warlord, he is 36 years old, born September 3rd, 1984. He stands in at 171 centimeters, which I guess is 5'7", right?
Yeah, it's about 5'7", if I do my math correctly, yeah.
63 kilos, 140 pounds. His fighting career, he's fought 40 times. He's won 23 fights, 6 via knockout, lost 16 fights, and fought in 1 draw. He is the former Rise lightweight champion. He is the 4th Ernesto Hoos Cup winner and the first ever Rise super lightweight world champion. His opponent, Yuba Mad Clown Yamaguchi, 170 centimeters, which is 5 feet 6 inches tall, 65 kilograms, 143 pounds. He was born June 13th, 1994, so that makes him 26 years old. He's from the Osaka Prefecture. He has fought 34 times, won 19 fights, 14 by way of knockout, lost 13 times, and fought in 2 draws. He is the former Innovation Lightweight Champion and the 4th Deep Kickboxing 60 kilogram World Champion. And, of course, the main kickboxing bout. We get to see another damn Ibata brother.
He's not always Ibata. He's not an Ibata brother. He just happens to have the same last name. I know it's a coincidence, but no relation to the famed kickboxing brother duo Ibatas.
Oh, so it's basically a conundrum, so to speak.
I know. I know. I'm trying to think. It's like when those the two MMA fighters whose names are Anderson Silva, kind of.
Oh, like Anderson the Spider Silva and Anderson Braddock Silva.
yeah, like that.
Right. Either way, it's Hidenori Ibata. All 6'6", 176 pounds of him, who's fighting in the rare breed known as the RIZIN Middleweight Division against Isami Sano. Now, of course, I don't have much information on him. I'm looking through the Japanese Wikipedia right now. It says he's...
I'll take care of that, Christian. So, Ibata is a Taekwondo national champion, and I believe he was going to represent Japan in the Taekwondo Olympics this year, but of course the Olympics were canceled. So that did not happen.
They weren't canceled. They were postponed for
whatever. Yeah. So he was supposed. I believe he was going to be representing Japan and Taekwondo, but he had made when those plans fell through. He did publicly. He said he wanted to fight in RIZIN, so I guess RIZIN must have saw that and was like, "Oh, let's put him on a card or something." And then Isami Sato, 20 years old, 184 centimeters, 6 feet. Not much is known about him as a kickboxer. The only thing that he has is that he has 1 amateur kickboxing win over Peter Ahert's son. He knocked out Ahertz Jr.
Oh, wow, really? I didn't know that Peter Ahertz had a son.
Yes, yeah. So basically, you got 2 people who are making their pro debuts.
Oh, and by the way, Isami Sato represents Kabushi no Kai, Kuroshiki, Okayama, Japan.
Okay, oh wow, Okayama's far from Osaka. So that... Sorry, Christian, what was that?
Please continue.
Oh yeah, so yeah, basically two young guys making their pro debuts.
Not to mention in the rare unicorn known as the RIZIN Middleweight Division.
I know, that's so funny. So pro debuts in the division, in a unicorn division, and in kickboxing, by the way, as well. Think about that.
Yep.
Jack, I want to throw this to you. I know that I don't know if you were following the kickboxers that much, but I'm curious to know. First, just quickly talking about Jin Madokoro and Saito Sato. Do you have any thoughts on this 117-pound match?
I'm going to be honest with you. I do not have any thoughts on that match. I'll say that probably for a lot of people, if you're tuning into this show and you're a kickboxing fan, you'll be tuning in because you want to watch kickboxing, not because you necessarily are seeing names that pop out on the schedule to you. I mean, I can't say that as someone who's like a kickboxing expert like other people are. That's just how I think it is. So someone can correct me online if they feel differently.
Do you feel comfortable making predictions for any of the kickboxing matches? Or how about that?
Not really. But I'll mention one thing. It's that for the Taiga fight, I am interested to see how that fight happens because win or loss, mostly loss, Taiga does put on entertaining fights.
Are you basically saying that Taiga Kawabe is more exciting when he loses than when he wins?
Hey, listen, all I'm saying is that whatever he brings out of his opponents makes a very entertaining fight.
Well, no, you and I were talking about this off air, and that I just can't figure out why Taiga gets all these chances from RIZIN. Christian read his record. He's won only one fight in RIZIN, and all the others were losses and one draw. So I just don't know. Like, is he really that entertaining? Is he entertaining because the way he loses is so, like, almost embarrassing for a guy of his talent? This is a former K1 champion, and he's losing to guys who he should not be losing to, and like bad fashion.
Taiga is like the Chicago Cubs before 2016, a lovable loser.
But when does losing become not lovable anymore? Like, when does it go into that BJ Penn category where it becomes so sad and you're just like, just quit?
To be fair, his fights over Taiju, I don't think they were horrible losses. He scored a knockdown in the first one, and then the second one ended due to a cut. And I mean, when it ends due to a cut, that's not the most like shameful loss you can get.
True, but about that first fight, so that's a good point you brought up that fight. I think he could have won that fight if he wasn't fooling around and hugging Taiju in the third round. He seemed more wanting to be friendly in the third round than he did in that second round where he got those two knockdowns. So, apart from the fact that that was like maybe the best he looked in a long time and against a high level opponent, but the fact that he basically threw away his third round almost consciously makes me like, why? What the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? It made no sense to me personally.
Basically,
so do you remember that, Jack? Or do you have any thoughts on that?
It means a lot of things are wrong with him. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, and just in general, it seems to be a thing for try-hard gym that they're not doing as well as they should be. At least the Wabi brothers are.
I mean, I was just like surprised he landed the knockdown. After that, I was like, you know what? You have surpassed my expectations. No matter what happens from here on, good job.
Okay. Well, then Christian and I will give predictions on the kickboxing match. I'm assuming you're saying that. Do you think Taiga will win this match? Do you think this is going to be his rebuilding phase? Do you think this is him going to be making a comeback, or do you think he's going to lose again in embarrassing fashion?
How about I'm going to put some hope behind him. I'm going to say this is going to be it. This is going to be the start of the next chapter in his career.
Because if anything, 2020 should have been the year that this does happen, because 2020 has been such a fucked up year that that this should have been the year that he gets a comeback and he fights Tenshin on New Year's Eve. But it hasn't happened. So that tells me that...
Is that the trajectory he's one win off from getting a Tenshin fight?
Well, that's the thing, is when he had his fight at the RIZIN 23 show, I think it was, Luke and I, we were doing predictions. We basically we were thinking of like the most 2020 way that show could go, and it would be Tiger winning, knocking out Kento Haraguchi, and then challenging Tenshin at New Year's Eve and knocking out Tenshin in the first round. And just like, he was a hero all along that we needed.
That would be something of storybooks.
Oh, yes, it would. It would absolutely would be. But Christian, let's talk about the first kickboxing match, Madokuro Saito. Any thoughts on that match?
I mean, to be honest, you got two men in the pack mule division, 117 pounds, looking to make waves. And considering the fact that Madokuro has only fought, I think, one other time in RIZIN, he's definitely looking forward to making the best of a second opportunity.
Oh, yes. I can definitely also tell you that Madokuro is the better fighter of the two. And I'm not to say that by the record, 11-8 versus 9-13. Madokuro is a very fast, lightning-fast puncher. And I think he's going to knock out Sato probably in the second round. You have any predictions?
I think it's going to probably end via second round KO, Madokuro.
Oh, good. So we agree on that. Now, Taiga and you...
just one thing about that fight. I wanted to ask, like, why both these guys are coming off losses, if I'm not mistaken. Why is this, like, on the card?
They coming off, I mean, they're in their respective promotions? I didn't know that. Let me double check on that.
I could be wrong. Let me check.
Like you said, Andrew, you don't like to pit losers with losers.
Oh, yes, actually, yes. So yeah, Sato lost his last match, shootboxing match, back in February, and Madokuro lost in Rise back in July by majority decision. My guess is probably, I think Rise is trying to expand a lot of their divisions. We saw with Yoshinari that they had someone in a 112-pound fighter in that division. So I don't know if they're trying to find fighters that are maybe close at weight division that they maybe can pair up with Yoshinari. But I think, yeah, Christian, you said it best. If you're going to put two fighters against each other, I have no problem when you put two fighters who lost against each other. I've always liked that booking, or winners versus winners. What do you think about that, Jack? Do you think that it's always appropriate to pit two losers against each other rather than a winner versus a loser?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's just logical booking. My concern was just sort of like, if these guys are coming off of losses on the regional scene, it doesn't really make sense to be like, okay, now you guys get to fight on the higher level. Like,
gotcha.
it doesn't add up.
I think that, let me see where they are on the card. I think they actually might be the openers. Actually, no, I think they're the second match. But nonetheless, they're in the prelim. They're in the quote prelim. So I want to say they're getting a high profile what do you call it? Part in the card. Also, have to mention as well, Madokuro did fight previously in RIZIN as well, as Christian mentioned. I think, did you say Sato also fought in, yeah, Sato also fought in RIZIN. So it looks like they're bringing, I don't know, like you said, with the lack of foreigners, they are, I don't want to say the scraping bottom of the barrel, but they have a lot less, they have more to choose from in Japan, but just less general talent, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, so that's why, you're going to see fighters, that they're getting fighters of like 8-8, 2-1 records, just because they have not a lot to choose from as of now. I'm sure when the borders open up, we're going to see a lot less of those types of fighters, for the most part. But yeah, I think it's also circumstances as well.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where like it's not necessarily a complaint for me. It's just like on paper it looks sort of weird, but I mean when you personally I think that a lot of the kickboxing bouts that RIZIN puts on these cards, sometimes it'll be guys who I don't know much about, but they'll deliver with a good fight. So I mean, there's I'm only going off of what I see now. Of course, it could be an amazing fight for all I know.
Oh, of course. No, absolutely. Christian, Taiga, Yuma, Yamashita. Taiga's going to lose, and he's going to lose again embarrassingly. That's my prediction. I think it's going to be another knockout loss. What do you think?
My prediction for this fight is if Taiga doesn't embarrass himself. No, if Taiga doesn't pull an embarrassing effort and lose by proxy, I just hope that he wins impressively. Because the last thing I want to see is him continuously losing. Like, there's a such thing in the sports world as tanking for draft picks. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Maple Leafs know how to do that, right, Jack?
Oh, come on.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't even follow hockey that much, but still, there's a such thing in the sports world as tanking for draft picks. We don't need to see Taiga tanking for relevancy.
I agree. I think that Mike Skite said it best, that Taiga, despite being only 24 years old, is past his prime as a kickboxer, which is very, like, I think he's spot on that. Taiga's time has passed. And also, didn't Sakakibara say that he wanted Taiga to do MMA or something at the press conference? I thought he said that, or Taiga said he wanted to do MMA. Why is he still in kickboxing? Shouldn't he be training for an MMA fight or something? I don't know.
Probably because he feels like he has one more kick left in him.
Okay, well, you know, he's going to get knocked out probably, embarrassingly, unfortunately, once again. Let's talk about the next kickboxing match, Yuma Yamaguchi, Shohei Asahara, which will be opening the RIZIN 25 card. Thoughts on this, Christian?
I mean, I don't know much about either one of these fighters, unfortunately. I just hope that Yamaguchi wins because of the name value, and of course, both of these guys fight for RIZE, so who knows? Maybe they probably might be fighting for a potential pecking order for a title shot over there.
You know, the problem, Yamaguchi has, like, fought, like, in every sort of, like, kickboxing thing. He's done Muay Thai, kickboxing. I think he's maybe even done shoot boxing, if I remember correctly. Problem is, though, is that he gets knocked out very easily, badly, sometimes. Asahara, on the other hand, you know, he's not the most exciting fighter, but he can weather a storm, if that makes any sense. So he can go the distance if necessary. I do not think that Yamaguchi, this is gonna end well for Yamaguchi. I think he's gonna get knocked out, probably once again in his esteemed kickboxing career, and he's going to, I think, he'll probably be by the third round, I think. Now, with this next match, oh no, Hidenori Yabata, Sami Sano. Christian, give me your hot takes.
The taller guy, Ibata, is going to win. I mean, I think he's going to use that height and that reach advantage he has, probably, to play a factor into this fight. Even if he is fighting as a debutante, much like his opponent.
You know, I always like to see, it's going to sound weird. Maybe, Jack, you'll understand how I'm going to explain it. So, I don't know why. I love seeing really tall fighters get knocked out by shorter guys. My favorite type of knockout like that was when Mark Hunt knocked out Stefan Struve. You remember that one, Jack?
Yeah.
I don't know why. There's just something so satisfying about seeing somebody who's much shorter just clip a guy who's like 5 inches or 6 inches taller on the chin, and they just, I don't know why, the way they fall down, I find, is very hilarious. So while I think that Ibata, I don't know, I kind of want to see. I kind of want to see that again with Sano knocking out the Tari Bata. So
now, I'm gonna saying with or without jumping.
I think it'd be funnier with jumping, like just like a jumping hook or something. I don't know. I don't know. So I feel like I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna be a well technically versed kickboxing match or if it's just gonna be an ugly brawl, considering it's both their pro debuts. I'm intrigued though. I'm always intrigued whenever people make their pro debuts because it can be it can be entertaining, it can be embarrassing, but that's the thing, you just don't know. So I'm intrigued by how this match will play out. I really am. But I'm gonna pick Sano by a wacky knockout of some kind.
Listen, I'm not in the same boat with you about the small guys knocking out the big guys thing. That's not something that I have thought of as necessarily amazing. But I will say this: I do like watching pro debuts. To me, it is interesting just to see very first time, what has someone learned? What are they doing in there? Just that to me is so interesting, and just the idea that it's for someone a fresh start. Their record is 0-0, and it's just seeing the very first impression of someone. To me, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, I get you. Well, also because I always hate when people say like, "Oh, the taller guy has the advantage." Oh, look at this. How can the shorter guy beat the taller guy? The taller guy's got all the advantages. As a short guy, as a guy who's only 5'7", it gets annoying when I hear the taller guys get overpraised just for something, just for them being not as vertically challenged as us. So there's also, I admit, there's also an ego thing is there as well. It's like, yeah, that's one for our team. To whenever like someone on the short end gets the taller guy. But yeah, this will be. I am kind of looking forward to this fight in the end. I will be. This will be the one kickboxing match I think out of all four that I'm definitely paying attention to the most. Christian, with that being said, let's move on to the first MMA fight of the show.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Kotetsu no Face Boku's last stand. And of course, we're talking about Kotetsu no Face Boku, the former 1FC lightweight, or actually featherweight world champion, and one-time Dream veteran, versus Dark Rikuto Shirakawa. First of all, the particulars for Dark Rikuto. He's 29 years old, he's 5 feet 8 inches tall, 134.8 pounds. He fights out of Style MMA Studio, hailing from Osaka. He's 29 years old, born July 18th, 1991. And he is a one-fight veteran of RIZIN, losing to Kyohei Hagiwara via straight right-hand knockout back at RIZIN 22 on August the 9th. But other than that, he is a veteran, a long-time veteran, up deep with pit stops in Demolition, Pancrase, and Gladiator, to his credit. His opponents, the wily veteran who, oh by the way, if you didn't check out the Twitterverse, you'll know that KRAZY BEE dropped him like a bad habit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that as well. I think that's an interesting topic that came or possible news thing to come up. But we'll talk about that afterwards. Don't talk about the fight.
But yeah, Kotetsu no Face Boku, aka Kwang Chol Park, 5'9", 152.9 pounds, age 43, born May 27, 1977, in Shizuoka, Japan. Formerly a representative of KRAZY BEE, who is a judoka and a boxer. Of course, if you've been following him for the last few years, you would know just how much of a basket case he's been. Not saying that he's a basket case in a good way, but still, point of the matter is, he made his 1FC debut fighting for the 1FC lightweight title back on October the 6th, 2012. And since then, it's just been nothing but a complete cluster, so to speak. And after getting cut by ONE FC after 3 straight losses, he took his L show to RIZIN back on August 10th, and lost to the younger Jin Aoi via unanimous decision in what was supposed to have been his retirement fight. But I have to ask, one thing before we obviously get to the elephant in the room, him being out at KRAZY BEE. If he does lose this next fight, would you immediately say that this man's career is over?
Yes. Well, I thought it was all over with the first fight. That's all I'm going to say about that. Jack, what are your thoughts about that? About Kotetsu Boku and retirement?
Yeah, I mean, it just sort of makes sense, right? You would hope that someone could go out on a win. Unfortunately, when someone goes too far into their career, you see the possibility of them go out on a loss, and possibly a bad loss. I mean, we possibly saw that with Anderson Silva a few weeks ago, where it's sort of a gray area as if that was his last fight, but we saw him go on a loss where he got dropped, so hopefully, I mean, you never want to see people stick around in the sport too long, especially because of how dangerous the sport is, right? So, I mean, I hope this is his last one.
Yeah, you saw the fight that he had at RIZIN 22, I believe it was, right? No,
23, yeah.
23, yeah. Well, that was one of the worst fights of the year, just for any promotion, any major promotion. Why he did not quit after that fight, I have no idea. I don't know.
I mean, I think that for some people, it's just like you want the satisfaction of ending your career on a high note, right? I mean, you think about it, someone's career is decades of their life, and it's probably really hard for them to let go of that. It's letting go of what has been every single day of your life for years and years.
Also, but also, he did say he was going to quit if he had lost that match. So I don't know if he's saying if this will be his last match, maybe, because like you're saying, he wants to go out and win. Okay, fine. But presuming that he doesn't win this match, does he keep on fighting until he gets a win, and then it's like, okay, I got my win, I quit?
Yeah, well, I don't think he said that he wanted to necessarily go out on a win. I mean, I guess everybody probably does want to go out on a win, but
yeah.
I just hope this is his last one. And also, like, you have to think about it, like, how many chances would RIZIN want to give him? Everybody knows he's lost his last 4. Would you want to keep the guy around if he just keeps losing?
Yeah, and that's the same thing I made about Taiga as well. But at least I'll say this, Taiga at least has a little bit more name value, I would say, than Mei Boku. Also, here's the other thing. Boku wanted to fight Mikuru. And I don't know if you remember that, Jack, but Boku
right.
said, yeah. And
when that happened, there was sort of this, like, weird shock. Like, is that really... Because it happened at the end of... It was after the main event of RIZIN 21 where Mikuru beat Daniel Salas.
Yeah.
So it was sort of this, like, weird, like... I mean, for a lot of people, it was late at night. Some people must have thought they were dreaming when they're like, is he really in the ring challenging him? Like... Yeah. It was very weird.
Listen, I said this when we reviewed Boku's last match. I'm so glad that fight never happened, because if it happened, Boku might have, like, legitimately died in the ring. Really, like, I don't know what other outcome would have been. Boku would not have come out of that fight the same man at all.
Oh, you mean he probably would have died like Apollo Creed in Rocky IV?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I hope not like that. I hope it would not seriously be like that. But also, Christian, you mentioned, I want to ask Jack this. So there seems to be possibly, potentially, KRAZY BEE might be gone as a camp.
It seems like it. I saw it was LJ on Twitter that pointed out,
yes.
And then I checked after and saw too that on the RIZIN site, along with Boku, it's I and Yachi are both on their profiles. It says they're just free. They're not associated with KRAZY BEE anymore. I mean, I hope that that's not the case because it's such a prolific gym, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it.
It was the camp for Kid Yamamoto, and when he was there, Kyoji Horiguchi, when he first started MMA. But also, they were actually doing a GoFundMe of some kind to keep the gym open during the pandemic. And if your gym is doing like a GoFundMe or whatever, that's not a good sign.
And it's just the financial strain that COVID-19's put on everybody. You can only imagine it's horrible for gyms. Gyms where they're the places who have to close down because of not wanting people to come in contact and stuff like that. If that is why they're closing, it's really unfortunate because that's something that is kind of it is out of their control.
Yeah. Also, I do think it's also important to point out that there hasn't, other than I and Miyu until recently, KRAZY BEE has not been a successful camp in the most recent time. We've seen Yachi lose his last 2 fights, and obviously Boku lost his. Losing Kid Yamamoto certainly put a big strain in camp because he was the face of their thing. Erasan, his nephew, lost his match in RIZIN as well, in the most recent fight in RIZIN. So you're also talking about a camp. So they're not doing well financially, and a lot of their top guys are losing on the big stage as well. That's usually, it's like, it reminds me, what kind of reminds me of, and maybe you can remember this, Jack, was the end of the Black Zillions camp, when all their fighters are leaving, and all the fighters are losing the big fights. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When the big fighters are all from one camp are losing, that's usually a sign that there's something bad going on at the camp. That there's not proper training, that there is not proper coaching. That's usually a telltale sign that a camp like that's not going to last much longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think it is worth noting that, like, I don't know if you can really point fingers in this situation because, like, if they had to close down for a few months because of COVID-19, that was like completely out of their hands.
Oh yeah, no, that's also, I will not discount COVID as well, but also I think there's other elements as well that probably on top of COVID that probably also exceeded, exacerbated possibly them closing down. And I know, I think it was Luke when we had him on our show talking about the RIZIN return shows, and he said that. It was either Luke or Fight Pros who said that basically KRAZY BEE has just been coasting on being the place where Kid Yamamoto trained. And it seems like they just really haven't kind of adapted or just have adapted to a regimen that produces winners. And I think that's also a factor. I think COVID is also a factor. I think there's many factors that look like they have shut down possibly shut down KRAZY BEE.
I would be interested to see what made the talent leave the gym. Talking about Yachi and and people like that. Was that was that the gym closing or was that them leaving on their own choice? I'm assuming it was maybe the gym closing. I don't want to speculate. Because it all happened at the same time.
Well, I'll tell you this. Very rarely do Japanese fighters change camps. Usually when they start out at a camp, they're usually there forever. It's not like in America where, someone will start out at so-and-so and then they'll go to Jackson Wink or they'll go to whoever, to a bigger camp. Japanese fighters very rarely, like Kyoji Horiguchi is one of the few guys I know of offhand. He went from KRAZY BEE to ATT, and so it's very rare for Japanese fighters to leave a camp, even out of frustration. So the reason why, I don't know if you pay attention, do you pay attention to Japanese pro wrestling at all by any chance, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why you see Japanese pro wrestlers stay at a company forever, even if the company is like in the shitter. That's why you'll see like Marufuji being Noah at forever, even though they're drawing 100 people at Korakuen. And yet, you know, he probably could go to New Japan if he wanted to. But yet, you know, he's choosing to stay at Noah. It's just a thing. It's just, I think that's probably I'll be surprised if they left and that caused the closing.
Yeah, this could be a false equivalency on my part, but I think that the only time you see Japanese fighters move camps is when they move to an American camp and they're making a push to the UFC.
Now, of course, also the other thing is, you know, unless there was something that was frustrating everybody there and they all decided to leave together, that does happen. You know, that's the story of every Japanese pro wrestling approach, is that a whole bunch of people got mad and then left to form their own thing. So that's also entirely possible, but I don't know. It's MMA. I can't recall a lot of Japanese fighters. Yeah, like you said, the ones that go from Japan that want to make a UFC, they go to whatever. Yeah, those are that's the one situation. In terms of this fight, though, Jack, you got any predictions for the outcome between Boku and Shirakawa?
Yeah, I'm going with Shirakawa with this fight.
Oh, good choice. Christian?
Well, you know what? All I gotta say is, I think that Shirakawa is gonna win this fight, and I think that Kotetsu no Face Boku is gonna retire. Guaranteed! And I gotta say it like how Charles Barkley says it on basketball coverage on TNT. Or at least how he been saying it during the quarantine. Guaranteed!
I'll say this. If Shirakawa doesn't win, then Shirakawa should retire. Boku should then continue on if he wants to. Because if Shirakawa can't beat Boku, then I don't know. That tells me more about Shirakawa than it does Boku. But yeah, Shirakawa should win this, absolutely. I don't see what Boku could do at all to win this fight, other than Shirakawa, I don't know, accidentally tearing his ACL during the match or something. I have no idea. But yeah, Shirakawa should absolutely win. Boku should retire, and I don't know. Go. I don't know where he could go. Go to I don't know. Maybe he'll go to with Miyu to Team Guam with Rocky Martinez.
Spike 22.
Spike 22, yeah. Maybe go there. I don't know. I have no idea. Or maybe he'll go back. Maybe he'll go to ONE FC, back to ONE FC, and I don't know, work in their office or something. I have no idea what Boku could do.
Do we really want to see Kotetsu Boku become a yes man?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what his skills are. He's got tattoos all over his body, so he's gonna be limited in what jobs he can get in Japan. You can't get an actual normal job. I guess he'll have to be a trainer someplace at another gym or something like that. That's what I'm guessing.
Right.
Maybe become a pro wrestler.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a place for tattoo professional wrestlers in Japan.
Exactly, yeah.
By the way, the Tapology Faithful says that Boku will win 77%.
Whatever, Tapology people are Tapology people are idiots in this case.
Yeah, no shit.
Let's move on to the next match.
Yeah, let's please move on to the next fight. The one that's actually the heaviest MMA fight on the card. It's in the welterweight division. Another rare unicorn for RIZIN.
Yeah.
The 170-pound weight class. The deep welterweight champion Ryuichiro Sumimura versus the former welterweight king of Pancrase champion Let's Gota Yamashita. First of all, for Sumimura, he's 5 feet 7 inches tall, 169.7 pounds. He's 34 years old, born February 14, 1986, representing the Trinity Sons camp, fighting out at Kobe, Hyogo, Japan. He is 15-8 overall, and has fought twice in the RIZIN fight, twice for the RIZIN Fighting Federation under the RIZIN rule set. He got choked out by Kichistasa Kunimoto at RIZIN 12 on August the 12th, 2018 via last-second head and arm choke in the first round. And he got knocked out by supposedly convicted child pedo John Tuck, the Super Saiyan, at the Bellator 237 Post-Limbs back on December 28, 2019. Other than that, he's been a mainstay in Deep and fought 1 time in Pancrase, 1 time in Heat, 4 times in Shudo, and of course he's the current Deep welterweight champion. So he's got that banner to raise. And his opponent, Let's Gota Yamashita, 14-9-1 with 1 no decision. 5'10", 170 pounds, age 31, born September 11, 1989, in Amagasaki, Hyogo, Japan. He represents the Cobra Kai MMA Dojo and fights out of Osaka. He is 14-9-1 with 2 no contests, because we don't know what the hell he was supposed to have done back in February for the Gladiator card.
I tried to find any info on that. I could not find a single thing on that card. Any result of that. That's so strange.
Exactly. But other than that, he is the former Gladiator welterweight champion, and his biggest accomplishment, defeating the legendary Yuki Kondo to become the welterweight king of Pancrase champion back in December of 2014. But other than that, he took some time off in 2015. Actually, he took some time off. Never. He's pretty much been consistent since losing the welterweight king of Pancrase title to Shingo Suzuki back on October 4th, 2015. And has been fighting just about a few times a year, every year for the last 4 years. This will be his first year in a while where he hasn't been consistent. Oh, and by the way, it's his RIZIN debut as well. And before we talk about who we think's gonna win, the Tapology faithful is not giving Let's Gota a chance. 95% of the fan base want to see Sumimura win. So I gotta ask both of y'all, who do y'all think is gonna win this fight?
After you, Jack.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with Tapology here and go with Sumimura. He had that loss in December on the Bellator RIZIN collab card, but he's bounced back with a win on a Deep show. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think that it just makes sense that, in my opinion, when you do the MMA math, looking at the records, I would go with him.
Are you a big believer in MMA math?
No, because I believe in the math so much that I've been proven wrong too many times by it. So,
But Jack, you gotta agree with this. Isn't Let's Gota the most awesome name that an MMA fighter could have? Let's Gota Yamashita.
No, it's great. Yeah, it's great. It's one of the more creative ones too. I think that a good competitor would be I forget the name of the guy, but he was a Samurai Mark Hunt.
Oh, yeah, literally. He changed his name. I think. Did he change his name?
Yeah, he was the guy who beat he lost to Rocky Martinez at I think it was 12. Rise of 12.
Yes. He was such a Mark Hunt fan that he literally he gave himself the nickname Samurai Mark Hunt.
And he walked out to John Cena's theme.
Yeah. Good night.
Oh yes. But I wonder if Sumimura is just one of those guys who just chokes on the RIZIN stage.
I mean, it's possible. I think that I'm a believer that nerves can get to you, and that can just happen.
Maybe that's because he's a great fighter in deep. You've never seen some of his deep fights. His deep fights are great. He's well rounded, but problem is that I don't know. Maybe when it's not when it gets to be just like that huge crowd, yeah, I wonder if maybe it's just that, It's kind of like, Chris Weidman losing almost all but one of his fights in New York, despite being from the New York area. I just wonder, if there's just always, if there's, elements that just work against people in just certain settings all the time, when they compete. You figure home team event, if you
home court advantage.
Yeah, you have a home court advantage, but no, maybe the extra pressure of being at home just gets you, or maybe in the case of Sumimura, maybe just because it's just thousands of more people in that audience, and he just he can't concentrate, he can't hear his coaches. He can't breathe properly. I wonder if that's just it. We'll have to see with this fight, but I gotta go with let's Gota Yamashita. That name is so awesome, and also I think he is a fun fighter to watch. He always comes to scrap, as they say. I would hope that with a fight like this, especially because I don't know where the 170 division's going in RIZIN, but I hope by putting on a high-profile fight like this means that they're going to start taking it more seriously. Because they done that with featherweight. Featherweight was a dead division at one point, but hope they're slowly seem to be adding 170-ish fights. So I think this is a good sign. Christian, what do you think?
I mean, I think that Let's Gota has a chance at, winning because, of course, he has a little bit more experience than Ryuichiro. But if you think about it, Ryuichiro has more RIZIN experience compared to Yamashita. I think that Ryuichiro is probably going to be winning this fight, but it's definitely going to be a hard-nosed grindstone type of fight.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just want to also add, Yamashita trains at the Cobra Kai dojo. How awesome is that? He trains at Cobra Kai.
Maybe for
Anybody want Cobra Kai?
Maybe for you, because you probably grew up watching Karate Kid on repeat.
Yeah, come on, is nobody here watches Cobra Kai? Anybody?
No.
Jack?
I can't help you there.
Fuck me then. Okay. Never mind.
You probably watch more Karate Kid more than anybody else here on this panel.
I'll say about Sumimura, I never got my hands on tape of that fight against Tuck. That was one that was sort of geo-blocked from us. I know it was out there somewhere, but I wasn't able to watch that fight, so I don't know how he lost in the first round. Maybe he got caught. I don't know if it was a pummeling. So, I mean, I don't really know how he performed in that fight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did either of you see it?
I saw I think it was one of those Twitter highlights things. I don't remember that much about it, to tell you the truth. That whole show is one big blur, because I saw half the fights are in clip format, and the other ones were just the endings, because there was somebody on Twitter filming on their video camera and putting them up, but you could hardly see, because where they were sitting, where one of the columns of the cage were, so it was hard to see. But yeah, I'll be honest, I don't remember that much about that. Christian, do you remember?
I kind of do, but just remember that around the time that we were reviewing this, I was basically going into this, watching it while we were talking about it, with a mindset of what am I about to watch and talk about.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's another interesting fact as well I want to bring up. So, Thrasher Kichi, who you brought up, who beat Sumimura,
mm-hmm.
trains at the same place that Yamashita does,
mm-hmm.
Cobra Kai. So, will MMA math work out in this case again? Will the two guys from Cobra Kai, will the second guy from Cobra Kai get a win over Sumimura?
I don't
Think
know.
about that.
You tell me.
I don't know. Jack, what do you think about that? That the two one of the guys who is, one of two guys who has faced Sumimura has beat him from the same gym.
Well, I think that would definitely be an advantage for Let's Gota. But it's hard to tell how much of an advantage it would be. But how much of that information can he take in and download and use himself?
That's true.
I'm still sticking with my prediction. If you guys are trying to make me switch sides here, it's not happening. A flashy name, having some gym members who have some wins. You can't sway my opinion. I'm going with Sumimura.
And also, don't forget Cobra Kai. He is from the Cobra Kai dojo. Okay. Hey, you know what? Listen. You know what? Stranger things have happened. Maybe 2020 is the year of Sumimura. Regardless, though, hopefully this just means that they'll be taking the 170 division more seriously in RIZIN with this type of fights, and especially because it is going to be high profiled. Christian, want to move on to the next match?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the final fight before the weird intermission. And that weird intermission, do y'all want to talk about that?
I don't know how we talk about. We'll get to it when we talk. I guess we'll speculate on it. I guess I have no idea what to talk about, but let's talk about the match before that first.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this 147-pound contest, 146-pound actually, between Yujiro Uchimura, who was supposed to fight at RIZIN 22, but got injured, against the Underground Emperor, Kyohei Hagiwara, who, according to the man himself, is 3-3 overall. 5'10", 146 pounds, age 24, born December 28th, 1995. He represents Team Smoker and fights out of Osaka, Japan. He holds a 3-3 professional MMA record, according to what he said himself. But he's currently 1-1 inside the RIZIN ring, knocking out Dark Rakuto Shirakawa, but getting submitted at RIZIN 24 via modified hammerlock to Takahiro Ashita. This is going to be his third fight in RIZIN going in. So he's going to have a lot to hold on his shoulders, aside from him coming out to another Snoop Dogg track. Now, as far as Yujiro Uchimura is concerned, he holds a professional MMA record of 17 wins, 13 losses, and 3 draws. 5'8", 145.8 pounds. He's 35 years old, born in Misato, Saitama, Japan, January the 8th, 1985. He represents Cherish Gym, fighting out of Taito, Tokyo, Japan. And, of course, he's a veteran of Pancrase. He fought in Rise Kickboxing. He fought for Vale Tudo Japan. He fought in Shoot Boxing. He fought for Rebel FC. He fought for Zest, Rings the Outsider. And he's pretty much made a name for himself in the smaller promotions of Japanese MMA. Not to say that Pancrase was a small promotion by any means, but still, he was supposed to be fighting on the RIZIN 22 card against Tetsuya Seiki, but that bout got scrapped due to him suffering an injury, so how's that going to play a part in this one? And also, before we talk about that, the Tapology Faithful is saying that they want to see Uchimura, 93% of which want to see Uchimura get the win, with 49% of them saying that they want to see Uchimura knock Hagiwara out.
It's actually interesting about that fight. So, Uchimura was supposed to fight Seki. Uchimura obviously got injured. Then Seki got booked to face Hagiwara. Hagiwara beat Seki. Now they're booking Hagiwara versus Uchimura. That's an interesting booking philosophy, I think. A very interesting booking mind. But Jack, what do you think about this match? Do you have a favorite to win?
Yeah, I would give this fight to Uchimura. His last fight I watched it back in February. It was against Yoshinori Hori. It was his first fight back, after his one fight UFC run, which, by the way, they did him dirty. He fought once in UFC, lost to Hakeem Dawodu, who is, a real rising star. So, I mean, you should give this guy another shot, right? Just based off the patterns of the UFC's booking, it would make sense to give him another shot. But he's back in Pancras. If I remember the fight correctly, because I have this issue where I forget a lot of fights, just like how they play out, stuff like that. A big part of what made Hori win was that he was landing a lot of takedowns in the fight. But besides that, it went to decision. It wasn't a complete domination from Hori. Because of that, I would give this fight to Uchimura over Hagiwara. Plus, I mean, just when you look at the experience, Hagiwara, I don't know what the deal is with his record. As you mentioned, he says he's 3-3. Tapology only has 4 fights under his record, which say he's 1-3.
Well, what he told us, Christian, he said here he had some underground fights or something. Did he say? Was that what he said?
I would like to think so. Otherwise, his nickname wouldn't be the Underground Emperor, right?
Yeah, something like that. So it's I don't know, I guess it's unofficially 3-2, 3-3, 3-3.
Yeah, I think RIZIN recognizes those, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they do. They do. I know.
But I mean, when you just look at the experience, Uchimura laps him numerous times over.
Actually, I want to also read what their comments that they had at the press conference. A lot of the fighters didn't say a lot of interesting things, but these two said very interesting things. Uchimura said that he's very honored to get this opportunity to fight in the RIZIN ring. He said his opponent, Hagiwara, is a great prospect, but I plan to put him in his place in a fun fight. Hagiwara said, I'm very happy to be able to fight in my hometown. I'm excited to be able to face a striker, so I'm sure we can show you fans what you want to see. I will knock his ass out into retirement.
I like how that quote goes from being such a happy to be there sort of pitch to something sort of aggressive. Listen, if they're calling for fireworks, we might see that.
Mm-hmm. Do what they say, does that sway you at all?
No. Listen,
okay.
you can be a great talker. I think that the last guy that Tenjin fought, his name is slipping me right now. He was a great talker.
And Rise or RIZIN?
RIZIN. Sorry.
Oh, Cozy.
He was a great talker. I mean, if we're gonna pound for pound rank trash talkers in RIZIN, he might just be at the very top. But I mean, in the ring, that doesn't hold up at all. That doesn't give you any sort of head start in the ring.
True.
So,
Christian, what do you think? Who do you got in this?
Oh, I think that with the amount of... I would normally say that with the amount of experience that Hagiwara has in the RIZIN ring, he should come out on top. However, let's be real. He's a fighter out of his own mouth that's at the 500 mark. And I think that experience of Uchimura is going to be too much for him to handle.
That's a good point. I'll say this, though.
I think that Uchimura is going to probably win this via finish in the second or third rounds.
You see, here's the thing. I think that Hagiwara is a much better fighter than his record or his unofficial record or whatever. The numbers, I think the numbers are not what they all seem. And especially when we saw with the Seki fight, we saw a guy who could take punishment and come back to it. And I saw a fighter who's able to recognize what he's doing wrong and change it up during the fight. Not a lot of fighters do that. A lot of fighters tend to stick to their game plan way too often, and then that's what fucks them over, and they lose. With the Yamashita fight, Ishida was just a better fighter. On paper, I would say, yeah, Uchimura is definitely, obviously, the more experienced fighter. But I think that I really do think that Hagiwara is like an untapped prospect star in the making. And I think, and especially because they're doing this show in Osaka. It's not by accident. I think they're having Hagiwara on this show in Osaka. And I think RIZIN wants Hagiwara to pull out a win. I really do. I think they're banking on him to be a part of their 145 division in the long term. And yeah, I'm a Hagiwara fan, especially after his first fight. And looking at his record, and all the time at the press conferences, he's always talking highly confident. He always says he's going to beat the shit out of his opponent. He says that his opponents are that they're not that good and all that stuff. It's very rare. Mikuru, who we'll be talking about later, trash talks, but other than him, not a lot of the Japanese fighters talk a lot of trash. And I like that from Hagiwara. He stands out. Also, he's got tattoos. Yeah, I think he's got to have presence about him I like as a fighter. I'm going to have to go with Hagiwara. I'm on the Hagiwara. I don't know if I should call it a hype train. Maybe like a hype caboose or something. Something smaller than a train. But I'm
dude.
What was that, sorry?
You can call it whatever the fuck you want.
Oh, I'll call it the Hagiwara wagon. The Hagiwara wagon. That's what I am on. The Hagiwara four-wheeled wagon. And I don't know if you can finish Uchimura, but I think we're gonna get a nice fun fight. Nice one featherweight fight with this match. Now, Christian, what the fuck do we say about this thing at the intermission? What is it? A tag team match? Is it a four-person gauntlet?
We saw. I think this is the same thing we saw at RIZIN 21, where it was like a 4 versus 1 grappling match, where it was one at a time. People would fight Souza.
I mean, it's grappling demonstration. It's Roberto Sosa, Kibla Koike, and 2 unknowns, Harry Sakamoto and Misaki Akita.
I think that I could be wrong. The first time this happened, I don't know who told me this, but I think it might have been the commentary because it was Matt Stryker that night. I think what was said was that this was just sort of like an exhibition to promote jiu-jitsu. Like, it was just the ideas that, like, it's for everyone or something like that.
Yeah, but Matt Stryker was basically treating this like a professional wrestling match.
I guess it will be. I mean, if there is a winner on record, it's going to be Sosa. Sosa can blindfold himself and put his hands behind and tie his hands behind his back. He will still win against.
Oh, I'd like to see that. That would be cool.
Yeah, he'll still.
What are you basically saying? He would use his tree trunk legs to choke somebody out?
I guess so. Yeah, he'll do some weird leg locks with his own legs. I don't know. It was funny because the last thing that he did, it was funny seeing the fighters get progressively older. Remember, it started out with a child. I think it did start out with a child, and then went to the comedian, and then like some 30-year-old Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. Then it was Nakai. Who is it? No, I'm forgetting. Not Yuki Kondo.
Yuki Nakai.
Yuki Nakai, that was it. And yeah, I liked how that progressively the fighters got older and older and older. I don't know. I think also as you did say, Okoye is going to be in this, so he's got to be making an announcement that he's joining RIZIN, I think, as well, right?
You know what? That kind of reminds me. De Sosa, obviously this means nothing to him because his last legitimate fight was when he put Yusuke Yachi out of his misery. So who knows? We'll probably see more. So we'll probably see this, and then we'll see him compete in a mixed martial arts bout at RIZIN 26 on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
But Koike Earps, what does the future hold for him? I mean, I'm guessing KSW don't want him anymore.
Oh yeah, clearly, he said he wants to go to RIZIN. So I guess that's what it's going to be. Jack, I don't know. What do you think is the purpose of this exhibition? They got to be making some sort of announcement as well for Clever or Souza, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would make sense. I don't know his status with KSW or stuff like that. It would make sense that, you know, you make that announcement at the event while he's there, because, I mean, thinking about it, the only thing we know about 26 right now is just what will likely be the main event, which is the Bantamweight title fight. So, I mean, it would be cool to, at this event, have an announcement for 26.
Oh yes, there's gotta be something. I can't just see them going on here and just playing kitty jujitsu for, I don't know, 30 minutes. Unless Rise is thinking of creative ways to make the intermissions go faster. I mean,
listen, I think the idea is cool. I think that you know, RIZIN is embracing just making it not just strictly an MMA or kickboxing event, you know, and it's just like, if they can do things like this, and maybe it'll be boring and maybe it'll suck, but you know, at least they tried it, right? Because it's, in my opinion, it's better than just falling into this like formulaic, like, okay, we're just gonna have like our MMA fights, we have some kickboxing fights, and that's the show.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Listen, I want them to bring back the tag team grappling matches. That was like some of my favorite shit, like Wanderlei Silva and Kimura versus Tokoro and Yutaka, wherever the fuck the matches were. Those are like just some of the like wackiest shit, and like it's like you'll never see that anywhere else. That's why I fell in love with RIZIN, because they just did things differently. But I think they're trying to become more serious. They want to become more of a regular MMA promotion, so to speak, or a regular fighting promotion, I should say. But yeah, we'll have to see. You know, I'm guessing they gotta be making some sort of announcement about RIZIN 26, probably with Souza or Clever probably being on the card, both of them, as well. With that being said, Christian, let's go back to the fights. Let's move on to the next match.
Yes, please. Let's go ahead on and move on to the next match, which, of course, you talked to one of these guys. I didn't.
Yes.
I was serving out my suspension because, of course, maybe it would be best for me not to negotiate with Japanese fighters. But still, this is a flyweight matchup. 57.2 kilograms, 126 pounds. Tatsuki Sawamoto versus Daichi Kitakata. For Tatsuki, the current Zest flyweight champion, 5'3", 124.8 pounds, age 24, born October 4, 1996. He holds a 15-2 professional MMA record, currently riding an 11-fight winning streak. He represents the Brave Gym in Misato, Tokyo, Japan. And, oh, by the way, he is 1-0 in RIZIN, defeating and knocking out Yusaku Nakamura back at RIZIN 23. But of course, as I mentioned, he is the current Zest flyweight champion 2 years running. And he also fought for Woolen Fang, he fought for the Brave Gym setup shows, and he also fought one time in Deep, defeating Fujito Hasegawa via unanimous decision. His opponent, Daichi Kitakata, 20 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw with 2 no contests, is his professional record. 5'4", 124.9 pounds, age 29, born March 30th, 1991, in Kawachi, Nagano, Osaka, Japan. He represents Peace Lab Osaka and He represents Peace Lab Osaka and Pancrase Ingaki Gumi in Naniwa, Osaka, Japan. And he is currently riding a 1-fight losing streak. Obviously fighting for that shit show known as 1FC. On their 1FC Century show, no less. Representing Pancrase and losing to Yosuke Saruta of Shudo. But he is also the current strawweight king of Pancrase champion, as well. So, I guess you could say this fight is going to have some heavy influence as far as the lighter weight classes, maybe the pack mule division of fighters as well. But to be quite honest, who do y'all got winning this fight? Oh, and by the way, Tapology says Sawamoto is going to win 94% out of 100, 76% via decision.
Your thoughts, Jack?
Yeah, well, just before I say a prediction, I want to say this is easily one of the stronger bouts on the card. Just looking at it, it seems like a really good booking. Kitakata having that one loss, which was on that one card, which I thought it was really cool for them to do that Shudo champion versus champion undercard for their century shows. But if I'm going to go with a prediction for this one, I'm going to go with Sawamoto. He had that RIZIN debut in August, beating Yusaku Nakamura, and he's on a really hot run. I mean, it was a lot of his wins are in ZST, some of them are in Deep, so a lot of them are on the the lower level of regionals in Japan. But I mean, he's on a really long run that basically dates back to the start of his career. So I'm going to go with him.
Question though, do you think that Sawamoto versus Makoto Shinryu should have been booked instead of this match? Because I think personally that's a fight to make. Or do you think that should be at least made down the line?
Yeah, it could be made down the line. I really like this matchup. I don't think you can discount Kitakata too much because of his last loss, because that was a champion versus champion fight, right? And it was really two of the best guys on the regional scene facing each other at flyweight.
Gotcha. Christian, your thoughts?
Well, to be honest, I was hoping we'd get your thoughts because you interviewed him.
Well, he definitely, Sawamoto is obviously confident going to this fight. He wants the flyweight division to be his division. He does expect to be able to fight Shinryu at some point. If they ever have a flyweight inaugural title match, that probably is a fight to make between the two. The Shinryu versus Sawamoto. I feel personally like this match though is kind of like a tune-up fight for Sawamoto. I feel this is definitely a fight where RIZIN wants someone to win, and I think it's clear it's Sawamoto. I don't know if Sawamoto can finish Kitakata, but I think that Sawamoto can ride it out for 3 rounds and make it a very excruciating 3 rounds.
It's worth noting that Kitakata's naturally he's a strawweight.
Oh yes,
he moved up to 125 for his last fight, and he's staying there for this one.
Yeah, so that's another thing as well. He's probably fighting more at his natural weight, walk around weight. So I mean, yeah, Sawamoto's gonna probably be the bigger guy one of the few times probably in this match as well. So he's got also probably a size advantage. I mean, hey, we've seen things, where people, if they cut too much weight, then that's a disadvantage. But I don't know. Like you said, Sawamoto's been on a roll. He's been on a long roll. I don't think this fight's gonna be the one that gives him his loss. Sawamoto all the way. Your thoughts, Christian?
Okay. I mean, I think that Sawamoto, considering the fact that he's 15-2 overall, he's got a lot to prove, especially considering the fact that according to Tapology, he's the 4th-ranked flyweight in Japan, fighting against Kitakata, the 3rd-ranked flyweight in Japan. But, to be quite honest, the one thing that Sawamoto has that Kitakata doesn't is that, considering that he fought for Zest, he has experience fighting in a ring, and Zest, being a Zest fighter means you fought in a ring most of the time. So, I think Sawamoto's going to use his ring fighting capabilities to pretty much trap Kitakata and make sure that he's useless from within. I mean, at least that's what I think.
Also, you can't Sambo is not a finisher. If you look at his record, he's won most of his fights by decision. That knockout of Nakamura was his first finish in about, I think it was 3-4 years, maybe 2 years. But yeah, he's one of those guys who I think deliberately trains to ride out of fights, because he knows he can weather the 3 5-minute rounds. And I think, yeah, we're going to see that. We're going to see Sakamoto utilize all that in this fight. It's going to be excruciating for Kitakata for 3 rounds. And yeah, Sakamoto's going to get his hand raised at the end, and then maybe they'll announce something for the flyweight division, RIZIN Flyweight Division going forward. We want to move on to the next fight, Christian, the co-main event?
Yes, of course it's the co-main, because you got a guy coming off of a title fight loss. But still, it's Kenta Takizawa versus Hiromasa Ougikubo. Takizawa, 5'9", 135 1/4 pounds, age 26, born November the 16th, 1994 in Tokyo, Japan. Representing Reversal Gym, Tokyo standout, he fights out of Shibuya Indo, Tokyo, Japan. He is currently riding a 2-fight winning streak. He is a former Bantamweight King of Pancrase title challenger, losing to Rafael Morcego Silva. Oh, and he's currently 1-0 inside the RIZIN ring, defeating Yuto Kentaro Hokamura via split decision back on September 27th at RIZIN 24. But other than that, he is a Pancrase fighter through and through, who also fought a couple of times for Tribe Tokyo fight. His opponent, we know him and love him. It was just sad to see him lose. Hiromasa Ougikubo, 5'3", last weighed in at 133.6 pounds. This fight will be contested at 134.5. Age 33, born April Fool's Day 1987 in Kuji, Iwate, Japan. Representing Paresta Matsudo, Chiba, Japan. He is a Kyokushin karateka. Of course, we all know his career background. He fought Kyoji Horiguchi twice. He was a star for Shudo, the former and current, I guess, Shudo flyweight champion. Well, Shudo bantamweight champion, I guess. I don't know. They use some weird mechanisms. But he's the former Shudo flyweight and bantamweight champion. He fought in shoot boxing. He fought for Vale Tudo Japan, obviously losing to Kyoji Horiguchi twice. And he fought on The Ultimate Fighter, defeating the champion of EFC Worldwide, the champion of some promotion in Australia, and Adam Captain Chaos Antolin, Alexandre Pantoja, who was the champion of Shudo Brazil at the time, and then losing to Tim Elliott in the penultimate match. Before, obviously, Elliott lost to Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Since Ougikubo's been in RIZIN, which dates back to, obviously, July 29, 2018, and the loss to Kyoji Horiguchi, he's gone 2-1 since that L, losing to Kai Asakura, but obviously beating up Yuki Motoya and Shintaro Ishiwatari to get to Kai Asakura. So, before I even ask, who do you think's gonna win, because it's obvious, the Tapology Faithful wants Ougikubo to win as well. 76% via decision, 21% via submission, I guess 3% via knockout. But to be quite honest, when it comes to Hiromasa Ougikubo, do you think all he needs is one good fight to get right back into title contention?
What do you think, Jack?
Honestly, I don't know, because, you think about it, what's the landscape of the division right now? Who else would be up next?
Probably Naoki Inoue, and I was about to say Victor Henry, but given the situation,
Victor Henry just lost to Denis Lavrentiev in Abu Dhabi not too long ago, but he's still wanting that title shot though, even though international restrictions are a bitch to deal with.
I don't know. I don't think RIZIN would really care about him losing Abu Dhabi. He's won all of his fights in RIZIN. So probably, but let's ignore him. Let's say he can't. I would definitely say it comes down to like Naoki Inoue and maybe Yuki Motoya as like possibly the next contenders. Shintari's still injured. I heard nothing about his return. And as far as I know as well, Okazaki is still injured, recovering from the broken jaw from Kai. So basically, just have right now Inoue and Motoya. Well, by the way, Motoya won his fight in Deep just recently as well.
So you're basically saying it's a hollow division at 135, right?
It's not hollow, but there's definitely. I don't think that I don't think that Ougikubo is. I think his time right now is not. It'd have to be a few more major wins if he wants to get for a title. Jack, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I guess it would make sense that whoever gets a title shot would have to probably fight again. So it's like if Ougikubo wins this weekend, I would think he would probably have to be set up with another fight before he gets back to the title.
Yeah.
Depending on the shape he is in after this fight, maybe they'll try to give him a quick turnaround in December. And that could be the eliminator. I mean, I mean, maybe that's too ambitious, but I don't know. I think that it's hard to tell like who would be next. He has those 2 wins in RIZIN, and the second one was in August, that really quick win. So he's definitely in the picture, but I mean, I don't know.
Also, just want to mention, I don't mean to outcheck, but we do know who the next contender is right now. RIZIN just announced it. It's going to be Koji Horiguchi versus Asakura. And
it was the logical step to make.
Yeah, absolutely. The logical step booking-wise and business-wise. But also the thing is that Ougikubo has fought both and has lost to both. I know that he lost, Guy Asakura obviously lost to this year, and he lost to Horiguchi in his first match back in RIZIN. I guess if you wanted if Horiguchi did win, you could maybe run that fight again, but it's probably going to be the same outcome. It's gonna, it's probably as long as Kai and Horiguchi are champions, he will never be champion, if that makes sense. He's always going to be the gatekeeper, as long as those 2 are there, unfortunately. That's just how it is sometimes. Here's the thing. Him beating Takizawa is not going to put him, I think, or should put him close to the title. If like Horiguchi can't make it, I still wouldn't even put Ougikubo in there. I would put Inoue or Motoya in there as well. Or somebody, like one of those 2. I don't know. I think Ougikubo, to get another title shot, it's got to be like 2 or 3 big wins down the line.
My worry is that, like, how do you do 3 wins? Because, like, I mean, who do you match him with in that, like, third fight? Because you have this one, you have Inoue, but I mean, like, you start to sort of run through the whole roster at some point, right?
Sure. Well, what I'm hoping is that Japan has said by April 2021 they're going to start letting international. They're going to start what's in the international restrictions, and that's because of the Olympics. They want to start letting people in so that people can come in for the Olympics in the summer. It's also Sakura season as well in April, which is when most tourists come to Japan. So I'm predicting, hopefully, by the time, hopefully sooner rather than later. And also, RIZIN did announce that they're going to be bringing in Musayev back. So there seem to be less of those restrictions. so maybe, hopefully, they can start bringing in other 135ers around to the division. I mean, I'm trying to think. I can't think of any names off the big names that Ougikubo could fight, but yeah, the problem is that he already had his chance and he lost. I don't think I saw nothing that would justify a quick turnaround of another chance. At least it would have to be 2 or 3 big fights he had to win, or at least maybe like if there's nobody else, maybe another year. Because as long as Kai's champion, I think 10 out of 10 times he beats Ougikubo, in my personal opinion. And I picked Ougikubo to win that match, by the way. The other issue is that Yuto Hokumura, Kentaro, was beaten by Takizawa, and I think that RIZIN was hoping that Kentaro would win that match, because I think they wanted to book a Kentaro-Kai match, and that is a very compelling matchup, stylistically, and personality-wise as well. But since he lost that match, I don't know, like, Kentaro would have to, I don't know, if you want to do Ougikubo versus Kentaro, maybe, and, Kentaro wins that, you could do him versus Kai or Kyoji or whoever. Yeah, the 135 division kind of went from being like the most packed division to kind of just being the most, I don't know, not the most jumbled division when the pandemic happened.
Yeah, and putting injuries on top of that too. A lot of long-term injuries. We don't really know the status on Oka Sasaki. I don't know if he's even training anymore, because he's not in New York with Sarah Longo anymore.
That's true.
Or at least looking at social media, it looks like he's in Japan right now.
Yeah, and no, you're right about that. And Inoue I think he permanently changed his camp to a Sonic Squad in Japan as well. So,
which, I mean, personally, I think it makes sense that if you're fighting in Japan, might as well train there again, because, I mean, I imagine that being so far away for so long, probably isn't too much fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What do you think about the outcome of this fight? Do you think Ougikubo rebounds from that loss from Kai, or do you think Takizawa continues to climb up the RIZIN ladder, Jack?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Ougikubo bounces back and starts his next campaign.
By the way, you talked about UFC egregiously cutting Hori. What about them cutting Ougikubo after that after the Ultimate Fighter fight?
Well,
if
they
anything,
didn't really cut Ougikubo. They just basically let him loose.
Well,
but they do sign some people who lose on Ultimate Fighter.
Yes. Oh yeah. Wasn't there that one Ultimate Fighter like the strawweights, I think, or the flyweights, where they signed every one of the women?
Yes, because they bought out the division.
That was it. Yeah. So yeah, and that's the one. Yeah, Ougikubo is like, it was one of those like. And he didn't lose badly to Tim Elliott. It wasn't like a domination by Tim Elliott at all. And I think, didn't some people even say Ougikubo won that fight?
Yes, there were plenty of people that said Ougikubo would have won that fight.
Yeah, and so usually when it was kind of, I know a lot of people were surprised when Ougikubo did not get like another fight with UFC. But hey, we have a RIZIN now, so at least that's a positive.
And when it comes down to Ougikubo, I think that, considering the fact that this is his bounce back fight, his comeback fight, I really think Ougikubo is gonna channel his inner fighting spirit, and I really think that Ougikubo is gonna, just try and, he's going to basically fight his ass off for 3 rounds, and I hope that he wins.
I hope so. I hope so.
That this fight is going to be nothing more but a knockdown, drag-out brawl between him and Takizawa.
Oh yeah. I definitely think, I definitely agree. I think this is Ogi who's going to win this fight. He rebounds from losses very well, as we saw at the Horiguchi fight. The only problem is that we've seen his matches go to very close. His 2 wins in RIZIN against Ishitari and Montoya, very close with decisions. You gotta be careful, because you can. If it's you don't want it to be too close because then you can lose. So hopefully he won't leave it too much up to the judges. I think he's going to make sure that Takizawa does not have a chance to get any judge's decision in this match. It would be interesting though if Takizawa does win. Though it would be interesting to see, this guy, this prospect kind of like climb up the ladder and eventually getting title shot against Kai. But I don't know. The Kentaro fight was not entirely impressed by Takizawa, and based on that fight and what I see from Ougikubo, I definitely think Ougikubo will probably be the winner of this fight, unless some other extracurricular force happens. With that being said, Christian, you got to talk about the main event. This very, very important fight that cements the 145 title division, title in the division.
145-pound weight class and title. Because, of course, this is RIZIN's first ever featherweight title contest. And what better way for them to close this event out, and obviously close this year out, with the Asakura brothers on top. It's Mikuru Asakura, of which, if you were to give Mikuru Asakura a nickname, what would you call him?
He doesn't have a nickname already? I thought he had a nickname. Shit. It'd have to be like I don't know. It'd be probably stupid like the outsider. I don't know. I don't know what...
Either way, it's Mikuru Asakura versus Yutaka Saito. First of all, the particulars for Saito. 18-4-2 overall is his record. 5 feet 8 inches tall, 144.6 pounds, height and weight. He's 33 years old, born October 8, 1987 in Noshiro, Akita, Japan. Representing Palestra Koiwa, fighting out of Katsushika, Tokyo, Japan. He's currently riding a 2-fight MMA win streak, and most recently knocked out the Rebel FC featherweight champion Kazumasa Maijima at RIZIN 23, which we did make a call on Twitch, by the way.
Yes, we did.
August 10th back on August 10th in Saitama, right?
Yeah, that was Saitama. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no. Was that Saitama or was that the?
Actually, that was Nagoya, Aichi, Japan.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's a longtime veteran of Shudo. He defeated the legendary Kao Uno for the Shudo featherweight title. He fought UFC veteran Mike Grundy. He fought former Pancrase flyweight and he fought former lightweight, now featherweight king of Pancrase champion Isao Kobayashi. He's a former Shudo lightweight champion, Pacific Rim lightweight champion, of course. And oh, by the way, he has a ton of experience in big pressure situations. But obviously, he's coming into this RIZIN fight with just one win in RIZIN. His opponent has made more of a name for himself alongside his brother in the RIZIN ring than anybody else ever could, with the exception of Kyoji Horiguchi and Jiri Prohaska. Mikuru Asakura, 5'10", 145.5 pounds, age 28. Born July 15, 1992, in Toyohashi, Aichi, Japan. He represents the Triforce Jiu-Jitsu Academy alongside his brother Kai, fighting out of Toshima, Tokyo, Japan. He holds a professional MMA record of 13 wins, 1 loss, and 1 no contest. And oh, by the way, get this shit. He has been undefeated in the RIZIN Fighting Federation since he made his debut at RIZIN 12, knocking out Hatsu Hioki. And 2 of his wins in RIZIN have been via knockout. but most of them have been actually 3 of his wins in RIZIN have been via knockout out of the, 2, 4, 6, 7 wins he has. But everything else has been via domination. Of course, last time he was in the ring, he knocked out El Cazador Daniel Salas with a left high kick. But still, he is a former Rings the Outsider 70 kilogram world champion and 65 kilogram world champion. He fought twice in the Road FC cage, going 1-1, knocking out Du Seok Oh, losing to Kill Wu Lee, of course. That was his last loss. I mean, that was his only loss. But still, do you think that Mikuru Asakura is going to have a coming out party, based off of this fight? And of course, the Tapology faithful, they ain't giving Yutaka Saito no chance. 99% outright. They want to see Mikuru Asakura win this fight. So I gotta say, again, do you think that this is going to be a coming out party for Mikuru Asakura? And if so, and if he wins this fight in devastating fashion, what's next for him?
Jack?
Well, first off, I want to say it's honestly surprising. You hardly see 99% of a Tapology pick a winner, but that's the case for Asakura here. Saito has, unfortunately, only 1% of the picks. But I mean, this just makes sense to me. It makes sense that Asakura is going to come out as the winner. I'm happy that this matchup, it's not... I mean, I'm confident that Asakura is going to win, but at the same time, this isn't like a matchup which is super lopsided, right? Like, they've put him up against someone who clearly has the experience, he has the resume for a fight of this level. So I think it's a good match, but I see Mikuru winning.
Christian?
I mean, to be quite honest, we all gotta agree with the Tapology faithful, right?
Nope. Not me.
Are you like
Let me go ahead.
Are they like
Let me go ahead and explain my pick first. I think that Mikuru Asakura is gonna probably get this done within the first couple of rounds, just to show how dominant he is. And if somehow, some way, Saito has even a little bit of experience, a little bit of heart in him. And of course, you interviewed him, Andrew, so you know what I'm talking about. But still, even if he does come in with a little bit of heart, I think it's going to be a struggle. I think it's going to be a fight to the finish. But other than that, I think Mikuru Asakura is going to beat that ass.
Jack, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying, are you like enemies with Tapology? I don't understand. I
know. Well, here's the thing. So, I picked Mikuru in every fight that he's had in RIZIN besides this one. And this is the reason why. He hasn't fought in a number of months. He's coming back from injury. I forgot what type of injury. I think it's an elbow injury. He's a guy who has talked about fighting more than actual fighting, and has done actual fighting. He has done his stuff on YouTube. He's doing his stuff on YouTube. He's doing, I call it the Mikuru Asakura Contender Series thing, which is he's taking 3 fighters that are 0-0 or have like no pro record, and he's bringing them to the Triforce Academy and training them and getting them prepared for their pro careers. And 3 of those fighters are fighting in deep right now. I see a guy. And also judging by the some of the people he's fought. Okay, Daniel Salas. Daniel Salas, that was a mismatch in every way. That favored Asakura. Yachi and Gustavo. They weren't as dominant as I think that Asakura. I think Asakura should have blown right through them. I also want to point out the Makapa fight that they had with the Bellator RIZIN thing. Out of all the fights that he's had in RIZIN, Makapa was the one guy to give him any sort of trouble. John Makapa, of all people, to give Asakura like any sort of like even a hint of like of fights, like any like who actually like put up a good fight. Saito is legitimately probably the toughest guy that Asakura is going to be getting in terms of talent, in my personal opinion. I just don't think. I think that RIZIN has. I think he has gotten a lot of easy fights that have. I don't want to say past his record, but that were fights that were made for him to win. And I don't know. I feel like this one fight, which I think will be the toughest fight of Asakura's. I think we're going to see a guy who's. We're going to see. I don't know. I just don't feel like he's not going to match up well with Saito. Saito in the Majima fight looked like a monster. That was one of the best knockouts I've ever seen. Just the blocking the takedown, just kicking him in his fucking face while he's on the ground. I saw that. I saw a guy who has great fight IQ. I don't know. Asakura, how do we know he's even been 1% training? Battle test, and also with his YouTube channel. You know how? Listen, we see with fighters all the time. Whenever they find a money-making venture that they're successful outside MMA, when they come back, they aren't always successful. Remember when Rampage started doing movies, and then he came back
like that shitty A-Team reboot?
Yes, and he came back to UFC, and yeah, he was like absolutely not the same fighter at all. I'm trying to think of other examples right now, but I can't think off the top of my head. But that's the example I always remember. I just don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick. If this were any other condition, if Asakura wasn't YouTubing or doing his contender series things or whatever, and I'm taking this long layoff, I would probably be partial. I would say Asakura, but I don't know. I'm seeing all these other factors that are in there, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't see how it's 99% picking him at all. Like, not even like it just. I don't think it's going to be that easy of a win for Asakura if he does win. That's why I'm picking Saito. I think that Saito. Everything that points to me is that Saito is ready for this match as well. Yeah, we talked to him, and yeah, he says that he says that he's seen what Mikuru does wrong in his fights, and he says he's going to exploit those weaknesses. Yeah, and Asakura in interviews has said this guy's beneath his level. And that's the thing, is that you gotta be careful as well. If Asakura goes in this fight and doesn't take Saito seriously as well, he's gonna get knocked out. I think he will get knocked out. Other interesting thing to point out about these two. These two have never been finished in a pro MMA match ever. They both have only lost by decision. So I'm hoping that this fight ends in a finish with one of them. That's
if I can mention a few things, I disagree with a few things you said there. For one, I think I don't necessarily agree about what you said about booking for Mikuru. I don't think. I mean, when you look at his record through RIZIN, it seems like through his whole run, he's been matched with people who, on record, on paper, are either better than him or about the same level as him. When he fought Luis Gustavo, Gustavo was coming off of that knockout victory over Yachi. I guess the only fight in this that would seem like it sort of favored Mikuru was, well, obviously the February fight against Salas, but the one against Yachi as well, where he was not necessarily, he was in the middle of a not too good of a run. But I think that in his whole career, he's been given pretty fair matchups and has shown over and over that he's a solid fighter. Also, you said that he, with his hands full, he might be a little not too focused enough in MMA. I mean, Kai Asakura, we can't not mention that he's been having a huge career on YouTube as well. To be fair, not as big of one as Mikuru numbers-wise, but he's been posting, every other day on YouTube, and he's still been putting on amazing performances in his outings, and he's expected to, really show up against Kyoji, because that's going to be a big fight where he has to show up. So, I don't know. I think these guys have shown they can have that balance of YouTube and fighting.
We'll have the layoff, though.
Yeah, that's true, and I'll give you that there is the layoff. And you said he was injured. I didn't know.
I think that's why the Boku fight didn't happen. I think because he got.
I thought it just didn't happen because RIZIN stopped everything because of COVID.
No, I seem to recall because they did have Mikuru. Remember, they have Mikuru on commentary for that for 23 or 22. Maybe both of them. I think I do seem to remember them initially saying that it was due to injury. Let me double check on that. That's at least because listen, I would have thought that they would have booked that fight immediately. Post COVID, had they had that happened. Because listen, with Mikuru, you're gonna get a sold out show. So I kind of figured that that's why there had to be some sort. Let me double check on that actually. But continue talking, Jack. I don't know if you want to continue your points.
No, that's all I had. I did want to mention though, I'm interested to hear how much of a crossover does his YouTube fame actually translate to his fighting? Is his fan base on YouTube? Because do they care about his fights? It seems like to an extent they do, because so much of his content revolves around fighting. But I don't know. I don't know how much that translates.
I think the show is sold out. I believe the show is officially sold out, last I checked. Or at least there's barely any tickets left. But also, I think they're probably doing half an audience or whatever.
Yeah.
So that is...
They are doing half an audience because the building holds about, 12,000? So they're doing 6,000 people?
If you have one of the Asakura brothers, that sells out easily. It's 6,000, like that.
I'm pretty sure people in Japan would pay to see half of Mikuru.
I think it definitely does cross over, Jack, because it seems like every time that Kai or Mikuru are in the main event, they always sell out. Even before the pandemic, they were selling out with Kai on the New Year's Eve show, and then I think the Mikuru Solid show sold out as well. So I think there is definitely major crossover. Sorry, Christian, go ahead.
No. I was yawning. Please continue.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I definitely do think that there is major crossover with at least when it comes to attendance. I can't find anything about the injury. That's one of those things. I don't know. Maybe I'm having a Berenstein Bears moment or whatever you call it. Whatever that thing is. Oh,
Mandela effect.
Yeah, maybe I'm having a Mandela effect. And that's why.
Well, that would make sense that injury took him out. I didn't hear about that, but
because why would they? Because when you're bringing back a show during the pandemic, I would figure you want to shove both Asakura brothers on one show each to make sure you sell out. I don't know. Maybe I'm having a Mandela moment.
I did want to ask you guys about just the title picture and the promotion in general. On this show, we're seeing a new title brought into the picture. Of course, two of the championships in RIZIN, the super atomweight and the light heavyweight, are both vacant right now. Mm-hmm. Do you guys think that this is an issue? Or, I could be getting ahead of myself too much here, because on New Year's Eve we could see one of those belts or even both of those belts find a new champion. Once you add another title to the picture, that is something you have to manage, and you have to try to keep that division alive. right? So do you think that, 4 belts is going to be hard for them to manage, especially when 2 are empty right now?
Well, I think when it comes to light heavyweights, they don't have to worry about it right now.
To find competitors as it is, because when it comes to the RIZIN, when it comes to the light heavyweight division, obviously that's full of foreigners, and they can't come in to the country at this particular time. So you're shit out of luck.
Do you think that once that changes, once that ban gets lifted, they're going to go back to using that belt?
It might take some time, but of course they are.
Oh, definitely. You'll definitely be able to see people from Bellator come in. They'll probably get Simon Beyond to come back. Jay Kuhn, the regulars. There's legitimately there's maybe like 2 light heavyweights in Japan, and they probably I don't know who they are even. That's how shitty it is right now in Japan. Atomweight division, though, is a very interesting point you brought up, because now with Ham going to 1FC, it looks like.
No, actually, that's already been confirmed. Seohee Ham is going to the dreaded damn one championship.
The problem with the atomweight division is that it basically comes down. Well, now that Ham's not there anymore. The 2 people who are going to dominate it are Kana Asakura and Reina Kubota. Those are the only 2 that are going to be everybody else is just on a level below them, and especially Japan, especially. What wind up happening is that if they do decide to have another match with that, it's either going to be Reina or Kana as champion. That's what it's going to come down to. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that a benefit that they have is that so much of the division is within the country right now. You would see them bring in occasionally some Invicta FC fighters for fights, because Invicta, besides RIZIN, they are the people who are doing the most atomweight stuff in the MMA scene. But when you think about it, in a travel restriction world, RIZIN still has some fights they can make in their atomweight division within Japan.
But also the problem is that the talent is just so lopsided. It's basically Kana, Reina, Miyu at distant third, and then everybody else is all the way at the bottom.
I think that's why you would see them bring in Invicta people so often, is because their roster for that division, while it was one of their biggest in the promotion, it was still a pretty small one. They needed people to travel in for fights.
Actually, I do want to correct myself. There is also Ai Shimizu, former KRAZY Bee's Ai Shimizu, but she hasn't fought on RIZIN. I can't remember.
What about Hamasaki?
Definitely Ayaka Hamasaki.
That's a big omission. I was sort of scared. I was thinking for a second, did she retire and I missed the news or something?
Retire, but people still
thank God.
see her compete against Seohee Ham for the 4th time.
Well, I neglected to put her in there because so I'm gonna rework that whole thing. I forgot Hamasaki. So it comes down to basically Hamasaki, Reina, and Kana tied, Miyu at a very distant third, and then everybody else below that. So
is Reina even part of the division anymore? Because I could be wrong, but she does all her fights now at a catch weight of 110 pounds.
And she said she's retired or something. I don't know. She said she always says she's gonna retire. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Reina, I don't know what her deal is. Let me take her out. Let me take Reina out to be Hamasaki, Kana.
It's the 4th draft.
Yes. Yeah. And then Miyu distant third, and then everybody else below. Ai Shimizu, don't know.
Then again, isn't Miyu on the bad side of her 40s?
Yeah, but she's still athletically gifted. That she could be fighting into her 60s, and she'll still.
Yeah, I think that she's a weird exception where seemingly you can't take into account her age when it comes to how like equating to her performance.
Yeah, it's like Randy Couture. Randy Couture was doing this shit at 40, and has better gas than some fighters do at 20 years old.
It's a skill that all fighters wish they could have, but most don't.
Oh yeah. So that Miyu was the outlier in that. I don't know what they're gonna do with atom weights. Really, the fight I think they were gonna try to make was Reina versus Ham. I think that would have been a very compelling matchup. A very interesting stylistic matchup. But yeah, obviously, with Han being Korean, can't go to Japan, sounded like that she wanted to fight. So ONE FC took her. Yeah, I know that. I mean, when the border opens up in Japan, I mean, yeah, I guess they'll get more of those Invicta fighters. They'll get Zabatella, who's the current atomweight champion, probably back. I'm guessing maybe they'll give Lindsey Van Sant another chance.
They should give Tabitha Watkins another chance.
Yeah, Jill DeCourcy as well, who we talked to a number of months ago.
If they don't give Jill DeCourcy a chance when this whole thing blows, I'm not going to say blow over, but when this whole thing kind of dies down a bit, they're crazy.
Yeah. So right now, I definitely feel like atomweight, if they wanted to do something with it, they have better opportunities to, but not with light heavyweight, men's light heavyweight. That is a division that is dead until the borders open up.
Or dead until Rocky Martinez makes his way back, even though, of course, he's a heavyweight, but he keeps getting his ass handed to him in the UFC, so who knows?
He did say that he wants to go down to 205. He did say he wants to go down to 205 after that last fight. So he might. Who knows? We might see a nice, svelte Rocky Martinez next time he fights in the UFC. Beautiful abs.
I'd be interested to see how he would do a light heavyweight, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. I think he would do good at that.
Give him his walking papers, and he'll go right back to RIZIN and to Brawl International.
Hey, yeah, I like this Brawl International promotion. I like to see that back. Jack, which fight are you looking forward to the most?
On this card?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it would have to be the main event. I mean, out of everybody on this card, I mean, there's some great fights on this card that we discussed, but the main event, sometimes I'm sold not just on the fighter, but on the character as well. And I think Mikuru Asakura is certainly one of those cases where, he is completely a star at this point. And he has the resume in MMA to back up that he's a star, and he has just his status with his YouTube channel and the character he's cultivated, which makes him a star. And I like the image of the twin, or not twin, but the brother champions. To me, that's pretty cool. I thought twin because I was thinking about the Ibata brothers. But yeah, I'm sold on the character, and out of everything on this card, that's what interests me the most.
I know I've said this before many times. I said that RIZIN should just do one day a card, like a family card, where they have like brothers fight on this, not fight each other, but fight like, I don't know, it'd be like, I don't know, something like wacky, like Rui Ibata versus
basically what you're trying to say is have like an
Family Feud,
yeah,
but MMA
an
style
version of Family Feud.
Yes, I would just love to see that. I think I would love to see RIZIN do that. That would be a very funny as fuck thing to do, and it could be a good card as well. What about the kickboxing matches, though, Jack? Are you just looking forward to Taiga possibly making a comeback?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, there's always the opportunity for someone to make a splash, right? So I'm in no way writing off the other fights, like the ones, like that one where we don't really know too much about two guys. There's always that opportunity. So, of course, I'm going to be watching them, and if someone puts on a stellar performance, I'll take note of that.
Christian, which one do you look forward to?
I think that I'm going to be looking forward to seeing Taiga as well in the kickboxing bouts. I just hope that he proves me wrong and actually wins. But when it comes down to MMA, obviously we're all looking forward to the main event. But I'm definitely looking forward to Hiromasa Ougikubo versus... Shit, who he facing again? Oh, wait, Takashi Sato. No, wait.
Okay, Takizawa.
Takizawa. Daichi Takizawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
As for me, kickboxing, I'm looking forward to that Ibata Sano kickboxing match.
Because you want to see a 6'6" guy get handled by a 6-foot guy.
Not even that, but also because 0-0 versus 0-0, that's just a very... I just find that compelling. I always find that... It's interesting to see... You know, because like I said before, don't know how the fight's going to go. It's either... It could be good, it could be middle of the road, it could be shit. But I can't predict it. I have no hard prediction on it. And for MMA, gotta go with that main event. I think it's gonna be... I think the crowd's gonna be hot for it. I think it's gonna be... I'm gonna be on the edge of my seat in that because I think it'll be Mikuru's toughest fight, in my opinion, up until the bell rings. And we get to finally see, this 145 division finally get a champion in a division that for so long was just seemingly neglected by RIZIN. It seemed by design at first, but then they just decided, you know what, we're gonna spruce up this division. We're gonna make it something, and I'm glad that they stuck to it. And we have a very compelling title fight, in my opinion. Now, this isn't Jiri versus King Mo or something, or an absurd fight. This is between two high-ranked fighters, two great fighters.
Two Japanese fighters looking to blaze a trail.
Exactly. This isn't some meme fight. This isn't, Japan, JMMA going to JMMA. This is a legit fight, and I can say I'm absolutely excited for it. I'm really, really looking forward to this main event. With that being said, Jack, I want to give you the opportunity to plug anything that you're working on. If you got any articles or content coming up that you want to plug, social media, all that good shit. The floor is yours.
Yeah, of course. All my MMA news coverage happens on knockdownnews.com. On there, I do live coverage of events, breaking news, and I'm trying to do more, interesting feature writing content. This weekend, I will be one of the brave soldiers staying all night watching RIZIN. So if you are not able to make it, or you're not able to make it through the whole thing, I'll be doing live coverage of it, and you'll be able to go back and see the articles and see what happened during the night if you want to. So it'll be on that website, knockdownnews.com. And my Twitter, that's Jack Wannan, so JackWannnan.
And also, you gotta tell everybody to check out your article on RIZIN Japanese MMA time disparities for fans.
Yes, yeah. That was a few months ago. I had you guys as a quote, and that it was about just how there's always been this issue with JMMA and getting it to the international audience. Luckily, we're seeing with this platform, although it is a bit of a hit on the wallet. And I definitely feel for people. I'm a student. I'm broke, so I feel for people who aren't able to watch it because it is a hit on the wallet. But with that being said, I think a lot of us are just thankful that RIZIN is still open for the international fans to watch.
I mean, to be honest, going back to that article, you had more of Andrew than you had me in that article, but I digress. I can't complain too much.
Well, listen, I don't know, but that article I know got you a lot of hits, right? I know a lot of people got, I guess, was it socially engaged? Is that the term that they use now? I know that I saw, when you publish it, it got passed around. It passed around like a hat in church.
I was happy about that, yeah. That was the first time I've ever had something sort of get that sort of reach online. And I was happy about it because, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I'm trying to do journalism that is covering everything, and especially topics that are, you know, talking about problems. And that was certainly addressing a problem, you know? You know, it's not one of the most serious things on the planet, but like anything, it's good to sort of feel like you have that reach to the public.
I mean, to be honest, Andrew, you could have said that the article was passed around like a joint at a hippie concert.
Well, I was gonna be like worse and try to be like it was passed around like a whore and like.
Oh.
I was gonna be like I wanted to say something like that, but like I couldn't think of the synonym or whatever it's called. So I was just like a hat in church. I had to think of some. I was blank.
Yeah, I was a bigger fan of the hat in church one.
Exactly. See. The author says that, so yeah. I chose wisely. I chose wisely in that case. Is there anything that you could tell that you're I know you're gonna be covering RIZIN, but is there any long term or anything that you wanna satiate the audience with that they you want to give out?
No, not really. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm also in school right now, so I'm like super busy with stuff. So I'm just like trying to like stay on the MMA beat. I'm trying my best on the site to just provide as much news and live coverage for people. So you know, all I can say is that like I think that people should give the site a shot, and if you like it, stick around. And I think that soon I will be trying out more interesting things that's not just like hard news.
Gotcha. Great, and also great.
But no absolute teasers on things just now. You guys are gonna have to stay on the edge of your seat and wait more.
Fair enough. That's the old pro wrestling booking. You have to make your audience wait. You book you.
Yeah, you have to tune in. You have to tune in for the Raw after WrestleMania to hear what really happened.
Yeah. You gotta have those cliffhangers, otherwise the story won't make much sense.
Well, Christian, I'm gonna give you the sign out privileges.
Okay, first of all, RIZIN Fighting Federation, RIZIN 25, taking place from Osaka Castle Hall, aka Osaka Joe Hall, this Saturday, November the 21st, midnight Eastern, or November 20th, 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Pacific, all taking place via the RIZIN Live platform. You can access that at RIZINFF.com. You're going to have to pay just to see it. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a free option where you can hear audio commentary but not see anything, or get the first few fights for free. But still, go to RIZINFF.com. It's all right there, baby. Other than that, you know the drill, you know the deal by now. If you want to check us out on all forms of social media, you can. Well, actually, you can only check us out on Twitter. I'm at ChrisGary92. Andrew is at ABenja1. The show handle is at WeAreRizin WeAreRizin POD, all in one word. And you can get this show and plenty more episodes like this on Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, hopefully, and soon, all your favorite podcast providers of choice. But if I'm not mistaken, I think it's about that time. So for all of us, and most especially for all of you, we thank you for listening to the show. We thank you for tuning in with us. Thank you for interacting, getting the show over, helping us get over in the process. And, as we bid y'all adieu, until the next time we hear from all of you, I think Lenny Hart has something to say. And with that, we out this mug. Talk to y'all later. Peace out. Take care, everybody.